Good morning, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Daily Devotions with the Revival Time Assembly, San Fernando, Trinidad, in the West Indies. I want to start off as I normally do by thanking God. It is another day that the Lord has made, and it's reason to rejoice and be glad in it. Also, because He is a God of purpose, and He has good purposes, good plans for us to accomplish today. So let's seek to find and fulfill those things. I want to also thank the senior pastors, Lloyd and Norma Hart, who, as you know, are my parents, for giving me this opportunity to share with you this week. And one more person to thank, my wife, Nicole Hart, for reading the scriptures for us this past week. Thanks again, Nicole. So, at the end of a week, we tend to be looking back and reflecting. And I have been reflecting on something that I guess is no secret to those of you who are, let's say, in the Revival Time family or are friends of Revival Time. Later this year, there will be a change in the leadership of Revival Time Assembly. So I will no longer be able to say senior pastors Lloyd and Norma Hart. And I've been reflecting on that. I've been thinking about the years in revival time. As you would probably realize, I and my siblings are children of revival time. We were born there, so to speak, and we grew up there. And we're still there. We may be separated geographically, but we can still say that RTA, Revival Time Assembly, is home. But change will take place later this year, and I suppose what I'd simply like to do is to offer uh, some words of advice or even encouragement as Revival Time Assembly, as you all go forward. One of the things that always stood out throughout the years at Revival Time Assembly when we were growing up was the life of service that was demonstrated by my parents. They were not pastors who sat in their offices and expected everyone else to do the work. They got in there and got just as dirty as everybody else in doing even the cleaning tasks, the manual things that had to be done. So when there were chairs to be scrubbed and cleaned and stuff like that, guess what? It wasn't optional. We were there. And we grew to enjoy it as well. In fact, several years ago, when the new set of chairs that are being used right now, were procured and they needed to be assembled, guess what? Yep, I had the, I would say, I had the pleasure of being there. And it was indeed a pleasure because some of the same people that I had grown up with and who were present back in the days when we had to scrub the church and stuff like that, they were there as well, helping to assemble the chairs. So that habit of service uh, continued. And that is something that I like to encourage each of you as members and friends of Revival Time Assembly, no matter who the leader is, no matter who is your senior pastor, continue to serve. This Christian life is indeed a life of service. Jesus said that essentially that's what he came to do. Remember when he washed his disciples' feet? That was service. And that was an example of service that we should certainly follow. The other thing that I'd like to uh, encourage you to continue in is simply love and fellowship. When we were growing up, as children or as even uh, teenagers, there were times when we would try to get away from going along with mommy and daddy on the the many uh, home visits, it seemed as though almost every week somebody would invite the pastor and his family to come share a meal with them. And, sometimes as, teenagers, stuff like that, we wanted to do something else. But I think we were always glad that we went along because we felt the genuine love of the people that had issued the invitation. And of course, we enjoyed some really good food along the way. That is something that needs to continue. Fellowship. You need to be inviting people to your home. You need to be sitting down to share a meal with people. And not only people within the assembly, but people, let's say, outside of the assembly as well. Jesus Christ himself used, I think, fellowshipping with others as a means of reaching out to them. And you can do the same thing. The Bible says that by this, meaning love, shall all men know that we are his disciples. So we are to show, most of all, love for each other. So let that love that characterized Revival Time Assembly in years gone by, and which still characterizes Revival Time Assembly, let that continue so that when the world sees it, they will recognize that we are indeed his disciples, and of course, that they will be drawn to him. So, I don't know if this is my final daily devotion with you all, but it's been a pleasure for me to share with you. It's been a pleasure to receive the comments from you all. When I do come down to San Fernando and meet up with you all in person, uh, you share with me how the devotions have been a blessing to you. And that is what it's all about. Our lives being a blessing to your lives, just as your lives have been a blessing to us. So, onward and upward, Revival Time Assembly. Keep loving, keep showing the love of the Lord to a lost, dying, and hungry world out there. They need to hear that Jesus Christ loves them. See you again, maybe in person, maybe on this platform. Have a good day.